By the year 1257, Baghdad was the peak of human urban civilization. Founded 5 centuries earlier, it was designed as a perfect circle on the banks of the Tigris River. Over 1 million people lived inside its walls, supported by a vast network of markets and hospitals. The city's libraries were its defining asset. The House of Wisdom operated as a translation bureau and research institution that drew scholars from across the known world. Muslims, Christians, Jews, and Zoroastrians worked here to gather the entirety of human understanding into one place. This manuscript displays a detailed anatomical breakdown of the human eye, featuring dual circular diagrams. It provides a physical record of advanced medical research. Scholars translated ancient texts, but used geometric analysis to correct past errors, refining the scientific method centuries before the West. Precision was everything. This brass astrolabe features intricate mathematical engravings used for astronomical calculations. Instruments like this were perfected in Baghdad, alongside the foundational development of algebra and navigation. The city was a physical repository. 5 centuries of deliberate human progress were concentrated in one location, making Baghdad the fragile container for the medieval world's intellectual momentum. By the middle of the 13th century, that container was cracking. The Abbasid Caliphate had suffered decades of political neglect. Power had fractured into regional dynasties, leaving the military establishment hollowed out and unprepared for a major invasion. The ruler at the time, Caliph al-Musta'sim, was blinded by the prestige of his office. He believed the spiritual authority of the Abbasid title would deter the Mongol Empire from attacking the seat of Islamic power. In late 1257, that belief was tested. Hulagu Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, marched toward Iraq at the head of a Western Mongol army. This was a veteran military force that had already dismantled dozens of the world's greatest cities. Hulagu offered a binary choice: immediate submission and tribute, or total destruction. Baghdad's response was defiant, or at the very least insufficiently submissive to satisfy the Mongol court. This political arrogance left a 500-year-old intellectual empire entirely defenseless against the most methodical war machine on the planet. On January 29, 1258, the encirclement was complete. Hulagu's forces surrounded the city, cutting off all supplies and communication. The Mongols deployed a specialized technological advantage. They brought Chinese and Central Asian siege engineers to construct massive catapults and mangonels designed specifically to dismantle stone fortifications. This animated schematic shows the tactical maneuver that broke the city's spirit. Mongol engineers diverted the Tigris irrigation canals, flooding the ground beneath the city walls and physically washing away their foundations. The water eroded the stone, and the siege engines hammered the rest. By February 5th, exactly 1 week after the siege began, the outer walls were dismantled. Baghdad fell to a superior application of systematic military engineering. Hulagu's success came from specialized technology and methodical planning that the Abbasids had neglected for decades. On February 10th, the Mongols entered the city. Al-Musta'sim was executed according to Mongol royal custom. To avoid shedding royal blood on the ground, he was rolled inside a carpet and trampled to death by horses. A 40-day slaughter followed. Chroniclers describe a horrific purge that targeted scholars, merchants, and citizens alike. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed in the streets. The city's cultural infrastructure was erased. Palaces, hospitals, and mosques were burned, and the House of Wisdom was looted of its 5-century accumulation of manuscripts. The scale of the destruction was captured in a single, powerful image. Centuries of manuscripts were hurled into the Tigris in such quantities that the river ran red with blood and then black with ink. This week marked a catastrophic rupture, abruptly ending the Islamic Golden Age in Iraq. The long-term consequences were severe. Baghdad became an economic and demographic wasteland, entering a period of decline from which it would not begin to recover for centuries. This chart shows the depth of that decline. By the 1330s, state revenues in the region had fallen to 1/10 of their pre-invasion levels. The city that had been the center of the world was now a ruin. but the intellectual tradition did not die in the river. Before the Mongol encirclement closed, a number of scholars managed to flee the city, carrying their research and manuscripts with them. In 1260, the Mamluk Sultanate stopped the Mongol advance at the Battle of Ain Jalut. The Mamluks became the new protectors of the Abbasid legacy, absorbing the Baghdadi scholars who had dispersed throughout the region. Cairo inherited Baghdad's position. Institutions like Al-Azhar University grew rapidly as they gathered the dispersed scholars and manuscripts that had escaped the fire in Iraq. The fall of Baghdad caused a permanent geopolitical shift, moving the intellectual center of gravity from the Tigris to the heart of Egypt. 5 centuries of civilization were dismantled in exactly 3 weeks. The physical container was destroyed, and the institutional heart of the Golden Age was stopped. The collapse highlights a fragile truth. Intellectual flourishing depends on a foundation of sustained, generational political protection. Scientific progress cannot survive in a state of political complacency. Yet, knowledge survived the rupture. Manuscripts copied in Cairo eventually reached European universities through translation, shaping the modern world's understanding of medicine, advanced mathematics, and the laws of physics. The Mongols proved that the physical city can be burned, but you cannot burn an idea. You can only scatter it for others to find.